at the surface tension photography station, what you'll have at your center is one piece of paper. It's a half sheet, very, very thick weight paper. Next to you, you'll have a clear tub of water, just regular water. You have a little dropper, and then you will need a paper towel. In front of you are all the different colors that you may use. Your goal here is to play around with using the water drops to make shapes and images, and then also see what happens when you combine drops of water together. So my eyedropper starts out clean because it's clean, never been used. I'm going to put it in the water. I'm just going to bring up one over here so you can kind of see what's going to happen. You're not going to bring them, you're not going to move them, but you're going to use the dropper this way. So when I put it in the water, I need to squeeze down and hold down the bulb, put it in the water, and then let go of the bulb. That will suck the water, the colored water, up inside the eyedropper. So that's how I get the color that I want. And now that I have my paper here, just going to experiment with what happens when I drop the water on the surface. And I can play around with trying to make different designs or shapes. Let's say I wanted to switch to a different color now. So I have some of this color already in my bulb. It would not make sense to put it in the water because I'm wasting this beautiful red paint. So I'm actually going to squeeze it back inside. If I'm ready to switch and I still have more, I squeeze most of it back inside, but I still can see that I have a little bit of residue. So if I were to put this in yellow and it's red, it's going to make orange, which is not what I want inside my yellow. So that's why we have the tub of water next to our spot. I'm going to put it in the water. Remember how I told you to press down and pull up? What I'm doing is just pulling clean water into the reservoir. So now when I put it into a new color, it's nice and clean. If your water gets dirty while you're working, you'll have to go change to get clean water. So now I can switch to a new color by pulling some more of that color out. And I can play around with adding a different color in my design. Something else that you can do is play around with what happens when you mix colors together. So if I have yellow and I grab a little bit of blue and I take my dot here and I just barely touch it to it. Ooh, made a little green inside. So I'm going to try to get to a place where I can not only mix dots, but I can take photographs of dots up close. So if I make kind of a bigger dot and then I add something inside of this one, it's got a bubble. Dot. That's so weird. Now I can add things inside this dot and see if I can see what happens when the colors mix together. Okay, so I can sort of play around with some different techniques with my dots. My goal is to take a photograph at the end of this center of something really cool that I've created by experimenting with water that has surface tension on top of this heavyweight paper. Remember, every time I'm ready to switch, and if I still have the color inside, I'm going to squeeze the color back into its correct container. And then there's one more step before I can go to a new one. Do you remember what it is? I'm going to go in that water. And I'm going to clean off by sucking up, squeezing out, so that I have clean eyedropper before I go into my next color.